The power of one more day. The sun rose gently over the city, pouring golden light through the windows of a quiet hospital room. On the bed, an old man lay still, his chest rising and falling with the kind of rhythm that hinted more of farewell than of peace. His name was Kwame Bidioko, a man who had once built an empire, who had once believed time bent to his will. He was not dying of any illness in particular. No. He was simply at the edge. The edge of time, the edge of memories, the edge of everything he had taken for granted. Across the room sat a woman in her early 30s. Her name was Oma, his daughter. She watched her father's fragile frame, her heart caught between resentment and sorrow. She had come, not because he asked her to, but because she needed to see for herself the man who had chosen business meetings over birthdays, boardrooms over bedtime stories. And now, with tubes in his arm and regret in his eyes, he looked at her as though searching for a time machine in her presence. "I always thought I had more time," he whispered, barely audible. Oma didn't reply. He smiled faintly. "I kept waiting for the right moment. To take you on that trip. To explain why I missed your graduation. To say I was sorry. I kept saying, tomorrow, I'll fix it." A tear slid down Oma's cheek, not from forgiveness, but from the ache of truth. 30 years earlier, a much younger Kwame had stood in a hotel lobby in Johannesburg, on the brink of closing his first international deal. His phone rang, his wife was in labor. He stared at the phone, then at the elevator to the meeting. He made his choice. He told himself it would be okay. That he would explain it to his daughter when she was old enough. That he would make it up to her. That he had time. 1 year turned into 10. 10 into 20. And life, that silent, speeding thief, took its share of everything he ignored. In the present, Oma finally spoke. "What would you do if you had one more day, Papa?" Kwame closed his eyes, then opened them slowly, a strange brightness behind them. "I would dance with your mother in the rain like we used to before the money. I'd burn my planner. I'd take you to the ocean and listen, really listen, to the sound of your laugh. I'd write you letters, for every year I was absent. I'd say thank you. And I'm sorry. And I love you." Oma's lip trembled. "I thought the world would wait for me," he said, his voice growing weaker. But it didn't. That night, he passed away, quietly, with his daughter's hand in his. Not as a titan of industry. Not as a man who owned buildings and stocks. But as a father who, in the final flicker of his life, understood something most never do in time. That tomorrow is a luxury. That today is a gift. That the words left unsaid, the love left unshown, the dreams postponed, they don't wait forever. Weeks later, Oma stood at the edge of the sea, a letter in her hand. One of the many he'd written in his final hours. In it, he had written, "If you're reading this, then I've run out of tomorrows. But you haven't. So live as if this is your one more day. Say what needs to be said. Go where your heart pulls you. Don't wait for perfect moments, make moments perfect. Because the truth is, the right time never comes. Only now does." She folded the letter and looked at the sky. Then, she smiled, for the first time in years, and walked into the waves. She was finally living. For herself. For him. For the power of one more day. 10 years had passed. The city had changed, new buildings, faster cars, louder lives. But Oma hadn't forgotten the hospital room where her father took his final breath, nor the letter that awakened something buried deep within her. She now stood at the front of a modest auditorium, a worn-out journal in her hand and a crowd of students before her. She had been invited to speak, not because she was a best-selling author or a social media personality, but because her story had begun to ripple. People called her the woman who teaches time. But they didn't know it wasn't hers she was trying to save. It was everyone else's. After her father's death, Oma did what no one expected. She quit her corporate job, sold her downtown apartment, packed a bag and disappeared from Accra for over a year. She traveled, not to run away, but to meet herself. In every country she visited, she asked one question to every stranger she met. If today were your last day, what would you do? The answers weren't about fame or riches. I'd hug my mother. I'd forgive my brother. I'd tell her I love her. I'd start writing. I'd stop pretending. Each answer lit something inside Oma. People weren't hungry for more time. They were starving for more presence. So, she returned home, not to resume life as usual, but to rewrite what life meant. She started a foundation called the One More Day Project, helping people reconcile broken families, pursue unlived dreams, and make peace with their own hearts. Her first public talk was to a group of 7 women in a dusty community hall. Now, she was speaking to schools, prisons, hospitals, and even boardrooms. Not as a motivational speaker. Not as a preacher. But as a daughter who once watched time run out and decided never to waste it again. As she stood before the students, she flipped open the same letter her father had written all those years ago. She didn't read it aloud. She never did. But she always held it as a reminder. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, Oma said. I'm here to ask you one thing. She paused, her voice steady, her eyes soft. If tomorrow never comes, who do you need to call today? Silence. What dream have you buried under excuses? A few heads turned. A few eyes watered. What apology have you postponed? The room grew still. The kind of stillness that happens just before a heart opens. She stepped down from the stage and walked to a table in the back, where a young girl stood waiting with a single question in her eyes. Did you ever forgive him? The girl asked. Oma smiled. I did. But not all at once. Forgiveness isn't a moment. It's a process. And every time I live fully, every time I love deeply, every time I choose today, I forgive him again. The girl nodded, and Oma handed her a blank sheet of paper. Write your own letter, she said. Someone needs your words before it's too late. That night, Oma walked to the ocean again. Older now. Wiser. Still learning. Still healing. She no longer chased time. She danced with it. She had discovered the secret her father learned too late. You don't need more days, you just need to live the ones you have.